right, how's everybody doing this evening? Back again with another video for you guys and gals. And tonight, what I have for everyone is my full review on the Bold N1. Alright, so I've been using this bad boy for a good amount of time now, and I finally feel like I've gathered all my thoughts and opinions on it. So without further ado, once that's done, it's time to jump into the full review. But before we get started and dive in, I just want to do a little bit of housekeeping here first. As always, if you guys and gals enjoy my content and or my videos and they're helpful in any way, shape, form, or fashion, please help your boy out and give the video a thumbs up. That really does help me out. You don't know how much. As always, if you guys and gals would like to see content like this, also feel free to hit the subscribe button down below and click off the notification bell icon right next to it so you guys and gals get notified when I publish new videos. Alright, as always, if this video piques your interest, all the links to everything that I talk about and feature will be available down below in the video description. So as always, if your interest is piqued, down below in the video description should be like a one-stop shop for you guys and gals, and you should be good to go. Alright, and this whole video here this evening is being recorded with the rear-facing 12 megapixel camera on the Samsung Galaxy S7 Active in 720p resolution at 30 frames per second, and we do have external audio hooked up, and it's less than a foot away from the device for you guys and gals who want to know that. Alright, so housekeeping done. Now let's dive in, and hopefully by the end of this video you guys and gals know if this device is potentially for you. So let's get started. Okay, starting off, the first thing I want to talk about with this device is the overall build quality and design. Now, from a build quality standpoint, I have to say Bold has done a great job here. Now you have a glass-on-glass sandwich, and this is Gorilla Glass 5 to be exact. And I gotta tell y'all, in terms of the overall build quality, this device feels great in the hand. It has a nice balanced weight to it. It's really solid in terms of the overall build quality, you guys and gals. And in terms of the overall design, it's pretty much got a modern design to it. So you can see we got the dual cameras on the back. We got the full display up front. Alright, with the in-display fingerprint sensor right there. So we pretty much have a modern design with a pop-up front-facing selfie camera. Alright, so in terms of the overall build quality and design, in my opinion, I feel as though Bold has done a great job. And I gotta tell y'all, they actually have some nice clicky and tactile buttons on here as well. And the volume button, or power button, my mistake, is ridged, so you can differentiate it from the volume rocker. So I really like that. So again, the overall build quality and design of this device, in my opinion, is top notch. All right, now let's keep it moving. Up next now, the next thing I want to talk about with you guys and gals is that display. So y'all can see here, now I do have the brightness turned up kind of high. All right, so let's dial the brightness down. But y'all can see, in terms of the display, we have pretty much a 6.4 inch 1080p Super AMOLED display on this bad boy with a screen density of 403 pixels per inch. Okay, in particular, the exact resolution is 1080p by 2340, which gives you a screen density of 403 pixels per inch. And this is Gorilla Glass 5, and this is Super AMOLED technology in terms of the display. And I gotta tell y'all, in terms of the display, putting the numbers aside, this is a really solid display in my opinion. Using it outdoors, y'all can see I rarely ever have to take it up past half when I'm outdoors, and when I'm indoors, I generally keep it at about 25%, and it works perfectly fine. And I gotta tell y'all, I really like this display. So yet again, in the display category, I feel as though Bold has done a great job on this one. All right, so top-notch results in terms of the display. Yet again, Bold, you guys and gals did a solid one in that aspect. All right, next, let's dive a little bit deeper now into the hardware and the software on this device. All right, let's start off with the hardware first. All right, so In terms of the hardware on this device, it comes in one RAM storage configuration. So we got 4 gigs of RAM on board with 128 gigs of internal storage. We do have nano SIMs, dual nano SIMs, or one nano SIM and one dedicated micro SD card support on this bad boy here. Okay, we have a 3500 milliamp hour battery, which is non-removable. Okay, we also have 18-watt fast charging, and the charging on this is phenomenal, as well as 10-watt wireless charging, which is also really phenomenal on here. So good stuff there. On the rear of the device, we have a dual camera setup. So we got a 16 megapixel primary sensor and a 5 megapixel depth sensor. Okay. On the front of the device, we have a pop-up 13 megapixel selfie camera. All right. All the cameras on this device are capable of recording video up to 1080p at 30 FPS, no more, no less. This device is also capable of taking 720p 120 frames per second slow motion video as well. All right. Now, talking about some more hardware on this bad boy does feature USB Type-C, as y'all can see right there. It also has a bottom firing speaker and a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. I really love that. Thank you both for keeping that headphone jack. That's what I like to see. Okay. And it also does support a front-facing optical in-display fingerprint sensor, which you only have to activate by raising the device, putting your finger on it, and then it opens right up. And this used to be really slow, but thanks to some updates, it's actually gotten really fast. So in terms of the hardware and the fingerprint sensor, it's really fast. So good stuff there. Okay. And then we already talked about the display, a 6.4 inch Super AMOLED 1080p display. All right. Now, talking about the chipset on board, we have the Helio P70 octa-core chipset from MediaTek. And in terms of the GPU, we have the Mali G72 MP3 GPU. Okay, so this is squarely using the MediaTek chipset on this one. All right. All right. And yeah, I think that about does it for the overall hardware. All right. Now let's go ahead and talk about some of the software on this device. Now I have already done a full dedicated setup and software walkthrough on here, but in terms of the software, we're pretty much running a very close to stock version of Android 9.0. All right. And all Blue has done, because the main company that made this is Blue. Bold is a sub company of Blue. So all Blue has done was they added some custom navigation keys that you can rearrange. And you can also go full gestures on here, which is nice. All right. And they've also thrown in a few custom software tweaks. All right. Other than that, this is a pretty much stock version of Android here. All right. And in terms of the software, talking about the software in terms of day-to-day performance, I have to say it's really, really good. Now, I do still run into the occasional app hiccup or app slowdown with a bunch of apps open in the background. And I do have some stuff pulled up so y'all can get a general idea of the memory management throughout this video. But I'd say it performs really well. As long as you're mindful of the amount of apps that you have running in the background, you shouldn't have any problems. And now for me, I would say you may want to stick to about anywhere between 14 and 17 apps open at a time, and it should stay really, really smooth. All right. But I do still run into the occasional app hiccup or app slowdown using this device. Now, thankfully, no app crashes on here, so that's really good. So in terms of the overall software, I have to say it's really good. It's not the best I've seen, but it's really good for what it is. So this pretty much goes over the hardware and the software on this device. All right. Again, if I missed anything, I'll throw it up in post. And as always, feel free to correct me down below in the comments if I make any mistakes, because y'all already know I am human and I'm not perfect, and I don't claim to be by any shape, form, or fashion. So if there are any mistakes made that I don't catch, feel free to correct me down below in the comments. All right, so that goes over the hardware and the software. Now let's keep it moving. All right, the next thing I want to talk about with you guys and gals is the overall Wi-Fi on this bad boy here. Now, in terms of the Wi-Fi, this bad boy is packing Wi-Fi 802.11 BGNN and AC. So what does that mean? That means that we have dual band Wi-Fi on this bad boy right here. So you could take advantage of your 2.4 gigahertz band Wi-Fi or your 5 gigahertz band Wi-Fi respectively. And let me show y'all that it does indeed have 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. So if we jump into the Wi-Fi settings, y'all can see 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz band Wi-Fi being picked up respectively. So good stuff there. And in terms of the Wi-Fi performance, let's jump back over to speed test. Y'all can see, you can get a general idea of just how good the Wi-Fi is on this device right here. And I've run a bunch of Wi-Fi tests and a bunch of data tests. And the overall Wi-Fi on this bad boy and data speeds on this bad boy are really, really good. Now, just for reference, I did run this using either T-Mobile or AT&T, or I was on Wi-Fi, okay? But whether I was using it on T-Mobile or AT&T, because it's a GSM unlocked device, it worked without issue, and the Wi-Fi on here was really, really good, okay? Now, I do want to point out that this is my second unit. I did have some Wi-Fi and some Bluetooth issues with my first unit, but thankfully that does all seem to be resolved, and I haven't had any Wi-Fi issues or Bluetooth issues with my second unit. So good stuff there, okay? But that being said, now let's go ahead and pull up a YouTube video and let's give y'all the real-time Wi-Fi performance test. And this Wi-Fi test will also double as a speaker test as well. So I got some non-copyright free music pulled up here. All right, and just so y'all can see, I have maxed out the volume, as you can see right there. And let's go ahead and do a Wi-Fi test as well as a speaker test. So I'm gonna stop talking now so y'all can enjoy this here. Let's go. All right, now let's go ahead and scrub through the video. See how the Wi-Fi performs. Okay, so there you guys and gals go. Real quick Wi-Fi test, real quick speaker test as well. Now, how do I feel about the overall Wi-Fi performance and the speakers and the overall placement? Let's get into that. Now, talking about the overall Wi-Fi, as you guys and gals have seen, the Wi-Fi performance on here is top-notch in my opinion, and I've had no issues. That being said, when we talk about the speakers on here, or speaker, because there's only one, I have to say the overall speaker performance is really good. It's not the best I've seen, because it does distort a little bit at max volume, but overall it gets very loud and it stays fairly clear throughout. but it is lacking a little bit in the bass department. So there is that. And I'm not a big fan of the placement on this one. Okay, there's more than enough space for Bose to have implemented a bottom firing front facing speaker right here, and then also build in a front facing speaker in the receiver up top here. So there's no reason why they couldn't have implemented dual front facing speakers, but for what it is, it's pretty good. Okay, I'm just not a fan of the placement. All right, so the speaker performance and Wi-Fi performance on this one is really good. Okay, now let's keep it moving. Up next now, the next thing I want to talk about with you guys and gals is the available bands on this device. Now, as I said, this is a GSM unlocked device. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that this bad boy will run on either AT&T or T-Mobile. Let me give y'all a close-up right here. And as long as your carrier has these bands, you should be good to go. Now, if this is unclear, I'll go ahead and throw up a screenshot in post, but you can see it has all of the necessary GSM bands. So it will work on AT&T, T-Mobile, Metro by T-Mobile, Cricket, so on and so forth. It will not work on Verizon or Sprint or any of their MVNOs, so no boost, no nothing like that. Okay, strictly just GSM carriers on this bad boy here. But that worked without issue in my opinion. So as long as you make sure that your carrier supports these bands, you should be good to go in terms of overall LTE and bands supported. All right, so good stuff there. Let's zoom out now. All right, so not bad at all. Okay, next thing I want to talk about with you guys and gals now is I want to go over the Bluetooth and the Bluetooth performance on this bad boy here. Now, in terms of the overall Bluetooth, this bad boy has Bluetooth 4.1 technology on board. Okay, so it's definitely not the latest and greatest Bluetooth, but the overall Bluetooth performance, in my opinion, let me just pull it up here for you guys and gals to see, and y'all can get an idea of just how many devices I tried to connect up to it. But in terms of the overall Bluetooth performance, the Bluetooth performance on this device is top notch. I didn't have any issues with the Bluetooth performance on my second unit. So good stuff there. And you can see I connected up a wide variety of different Bluetooth devices to this device. So I got headphones, I got my smart band, I got my bone conduction headphones, I got my earbuds, so on and so forth. So the overall Bluetooth on here is top notch in my opinion. Okay, so good stuff there. All right, let's keep it moving. Up next now, let's now talk about the overall GPS performance on here. Let me go ahead and pull up one of my latest GPS runs here, right here. So as y'all can see, in terms of the overall GPS, it did a really great job. Let me give y'all a close-up. So you can see it locked onto a lot of satellites. So you can see it had 20 satellites in view, and out of that 20, it locked onto about 15. And in terms of the accuracy, it was accurate down to 5 meters. So not the most accurate device in terms of the benchmark and the testing, but putting the testing aside, talking about the GPS in terms of daily usage, I didn't have any issues. So turn-by-turn navigation, geocaching, geotagging, anything that took advantage of the onboard GPS on this device worked without issues. So the overall GPS performance, in my opinion, is top-notch for this one as well. Okay, let's keep it moving now. All right, now the next thing I want to talk about with you guys and gals is the overall call quality and speaker call quality on this device. Okay, because these are phones at the end of the day, and they do need to be able to function as what they're intended to be, which are phones. So talking about the overall call quality through the onboard receiver, I have to say it was pretty good. Now it got loud and it stayed relatively clear, but I did notice a little bit of distortion, and I was getting a little bit of poppiness while on phone calls, but for the most part, it worked relatively without any issues. Now, jumping over to the speakerphone calls, on the other hand were really good. It got very loud, crisp, and clear, and it worked without issue. Now, I would have liked for it to get just a touch louder on speakerphone calls, but other than that, it was really, really good for the overall speakerphone calls. Okay, so whether you're using this boy with the onboard receiver or the onboard speaker, your phone calls should be really good. Keep in mind, there are some things you have to take into consideration with the phone call quality. The major one being your carrier and your overall location. Okay, but putting that stuff aside, the call quality on this device is really good. All right, now let's keep it moving. Up next now, let's talk about my overall experience with the cameras. Now, I've done a separate dedicated camera walkthrough, including the photo and video samples with this device. So if you want a more in-depth look, check out the link that should be popping up on the screen right about now. I'll also link it down below in the video description. So feel free to pause this full review, run over there, check out the low light samples, the daytime low light samples, the low light artificial lighting samples, and all of the photo samples, and come back and let me know what y'all think. But in terms of my opinion, I pretty much just judge these devices on 3 distinct categories when it comes to the cameras. Okay, point and shoot photo performance, point and shoot video performance, and overall audio capture capabilities. And I have to say, in terms of all 3 of these categories, the Bold N1 did a really good job. Now, again, it's not the best I've seen, but for what it is, it's really good. I was able to capture some really great photos with this device and record some really good video, as I'm sure you guys and gals have seen. If you checked out any of my latest coverage, anytime I use this device, I was sure to let y'all know. So the video capture capabilities, the photo capture capabilities are on point with this device, and there was little to no tweaking involved when using this device. So really good stuff there, and the audio capture capabilities were really good on this device as well. Now, there is one gripe that I have with this device in terms of the cameras and in terms of the overall camera software, and that is, although this bad boy supports a 3.5mm headphone jack, there is no out-of-the-box external microphone support with the dedicated stock camera app. So if you do want to use external audio, you will have to load up a third-party camera app to take advantage of it. So that's the only downside that I see to these cameras and the overall camera interface. Other than that, the camera experience on here was really, really good. Okay, so good stuff. Now, moving on, the next thing I want to talk about is the gaming performance on here. Now, yet again, I've done a separate dedicated gaming performance video. I'll link it up in the cards, and I'll also link it down below in the video description. Again, feel free to go and check it out and then come back and let me know what y'all think in the comments of this video. But in my opinion, the gaming on this device was really, really good, and I didn't have any issues. Regardless of whatever game I threw at it, it worked without problems. So PUBG, not a problem. Modern Combat, not a problem. Call of Duty, not a problem. Any game I threw at it worked without issues. Now, it did get a little bit warm on the back here, right around here, with extended gameplay of about 35-45 minutes. It did get warm, but the overall gaming performance on here did not slow down and overall was really good. Okay, so good stuff there in the gaming category. All right, let's keep it moving now. Up next, now let's briefly go over the benchmarks on this bad boy here. Now, I've reached a point, I've reached a stage in smartphones where benchmarks mean absolutely nothing. So I really don't like to feature them, but I know there are some guys and gals out there that like to see the raw synthetic benchmark numbers. So until y'all tell me I could take it out of the video, I have to keep featuring it. So let's go ahead and run through it really fast, quick, fast, and in a hurry. Let me zoom in so y'all can get a nice look. All right, that should do it right there. All right, and let's go over these benchmarks really quick. Okay, let's do this. All right, so starting off with N22 here, you can see it scored a 141,269. So really good stuff there. And you can get a general idea of just how much competition it beat out and see the individual scores for the CPU, the GPU, the memory, and the UX, so on and so forth. But that's a really good score, especially for this chipset. Okay. Then we got the 3D Mark Ice Storm Unlimited test, and you can see it scored a 20,307. So really good stuff there. Okay. Then we have the Geekbench 5. All right. So this is the Geekbench 5. And you can see in terms of the single core, it scored a 296. In terms of the multi-core, it scored a 1343. So not bad. Okay. Then this is the Geekbench Compute Test, OpenCL Compute Test, and it scored a 1,226. So not bad at all. All right. Then we already talked about the GPS. And now let's get into some of the other older benchmarks that I like to run. So this is the Volemo Metal Test. And I really like this benchmark because it really stresses the hardware. Then it spits out an overall average score. And I like to run this older benchmark to see how the newer devices stack up to the older devices. Now, unfortunately, I was having trouble getting it to connect to the server. But so y'all can't really see a visual representation of how it scores, the Bold N1 scores stack up to the older devices. But take my word for it, this pretty much is almost maxing out the metal test for Volemo. And y'all can see it scored a 2,812, which is really good. Then we have the Volemo multi-core test. And I can tell y'all, it did indeed max out this test, and it scored a 3,873. So really good stuff in terms of the overall multi-core performance. All right. Then this is my absolute favorite benchmark to run. This is the Disco Mark multitasking benchmark. And as the name implies, this benchmark gives me the ability to load up any and all apps on my device. It will run through selected apps a set number of times and then spit out an average time that it took my device to get through all the apps, and then spit out the individual app load up times. And y'all can see the Bold N1 got a really fast time in terms of app opening speed. So it scored a time of 1.388 seconds. And then to put that into perspective for y'all, on average, I use anywhere from about 17 to 21 apps. And the fact that it was able to get through that really, really quickly, that's crazy. All right. Now, I did notice that there is some memory management issues because I did see a lot of app refreshing when I ran this test. Now, I ran this test about 7 times, and this was the last one that I ran. But in terms of the opening speeds, it's really good, but it does have some memory management issues. So hopefully Bold could fix that in a software update, okay? But this pretty much goes over all of the benchmarks for the Bold N1, all right? Okay, let's go. All right, so that covers the benchmarks. Now, let's get into one of my favorite categories. Let's talk about the overall battery life and the overall charge times on this device. Now, a few key things y'all need to keep in mind before I talk about my results, and y'all will see my results flash on the screen. I'll put up the screenshots in post so y'all can check it out. But a few key things I want to point out. Now, in terms of usage, I am what you would consider an extremely heavy user. Any and everything that I can do for my device, I will do for my device. And the results you guys and gals are getting ready to hear me talk about and see on the screen will reflect that, okay? So based on your usage style, your results may vary. That being said, let's get into this. Talking about the overall battery life. Now, again, I want to reiterate the Bold N1 has a 3,500 milliamp hour battery on board, okay? And in terms of the overall battery life with heavy usage, I was averaging anywhere from about 6.5 hours of on-screen time to at most 8.5 hours of on-screen time. There was the rare instance where I was able to get a little bit over 10 hours of on-screen time, but that was strictly using the device on Wi-Fi with no data running. Okay, so I kind of don't want to include that. That's almost like a fluke to me. So on average, I would say I was getting anywhere from 6.5 hours of on-screen time to 8.5 hours of on-screen time. So to put that into perspective for y'all, with moderate to light usage, I was able to get through a full day. With heavier usage, I did find that I needed to top off the device or charge the device one additional time. So to me, in terms of the overall battery life on the Bolt N1, I'd have to say this is about average. This is on par with pretty much any and all major flagships that are out today. Okay, so I'm kind of bummed out about that because I really was expecting to see a little bit better battery life. I was kind of expecting at least 10 hours plus on screen time and at least a day and a half without me trying. But for what it is, it's pretty much average. Okay. All right. So that goes over the overall battery life. Now let's talk about the overall charge times. And this is where I have to say Bolt has done a great job. Now, in terms of the charge times, I was averaging anywhere from about 1 hour and 50 minutes to 2.5 hours to reach a full charge. Okay. And that's using the included 18 watt fast charger. Okay. Now for reference, when I do my charge test, I do 5% to 100 5 times, 10% to 100 5 times, 15% to 100 5 times, and 20% to 100 5 times, and then I average out the scores. There are the times. And then to go a step further, I did do some individual tests where I don't charge it to 100. So I did what did I do? 20% to 50, 10% to 50, so on and so forth, like that. So when you don't charge the full, this bad boy can get up to your desired charge percentage really, really quickly. I'd have to say from about 20% to 50 was about half an hour to 45 minutes. So that's pretty good. So if you want a quick top up and you got the included charger with you, you should be good to go. So the overall charge times, in my opinion, are really, really good. That being said, talking about the charge times with wireless charging, because this bad boy does support 10 watt wireless charging, I'd have to say it was really good. Now this is on par with the same wireless charging speeds as my S6 Active here, which coincidentally has the same size battery. So the S6 Active also has a 3500 milliamp hour battery, and it does support wireless charging. Now it does not support fast wireless charging, so it's regular 5 watt wireless charging for the S6 Active, but the Bolt N1 does support 10 watt wireless charging, and it was really quick. Now on average, I would have to say charging to full took about 2.5 to 3.5 hours, okay, as long as the device wasn't completely dead. Now, for the instances where the device was completely dead, then it was taking upwards of 4 hours to reach a full charge. So that's about on par with my S6 Active. So that's pretty good wireless charging speeds in my opinion, okay? Cool. So this goes over the overall battery life and the overall charge times. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about with you guys and gals, and wow, we got through that relatively quickly, is I want to talk about the pricing and give you guys and gals my overall final thoughts and a recommendation or two. All right. Now, talking about the pricing of this device, I actually picked it up from Amazon, and at checkout before taxes, it was $249.99. Okay, so $250. After taxes, which was roughly about $18, about $20. So 250 plus 20, let's just call it 20. So after taxes, this bad boy was about $270. Okay, so I actually paid a little bit over $270 to pick up this device you guys and gals see in this video here this evening. Okay, but as of the recording of this video, the Bolt N1 is on sale on Amazon and on their official site for $200. Okay, and you guys and gals are probably wondering, at that price, can I recommend that y'all pick up this device? Well, let's say I'd have to say yes. Okay, strictly based on the price, I'd have to say yes. But you definitely don't want to pay more than $200 for this device. But at $200 and under, this is a definite recommendation from me. If it goes up to $250, nope, you might want to pass. There's some better options you can pick up. But if you have a very strict budget and you're looking for a very feature-packed device at $200, you can't go wrong with this one. But trust me when I tell you, you definitely do not want to pay more than $200 for this device. So can I recommend that you guys and gals go out there and pick this one up? I would have to say yes, but as long as you pay no more than $200. All right? Cool. So that pretty much does it for my full review here this evening. I hope everyone has a great evening, and I will catch you guys and gals in my next video. Peace, everyone. We out of here.